Hi. So in this video, I'm actually going to be talking about how to improve your art, but in a healthy way. So I'm not usually one to make these types of videos. So this is kind of more just, hey, I'm going to share my experience. If it helps you, cool. If it doesn't, there's some recommended videos on the side over there that you can probably click on, and we'll see if those will help you a little bit more. Hopefully they do. But if you actually get anything from this video, let me know. I'm kind of just going to be using myself as an example for this kind of drawing. I call this plan the give it 5 years method. I know that sounds probably overwhelming to a lot of people, and they're like, oh, 5 years, I don't even know if I want to do this in that 5 years. Fortunately, there's a couple of in-between steps along the way. There's a lot of point to pause, take a step back, and evaluate. For me, kind of as a little bit of background and context, I worked on a lot of digital art for a while. Most of what I used to do was actually like anime cel-shaded stuff, but I had always wanted to actually do more painterly style illustrations. Only reason I hadn't was because I knew I had no idea how to do it. So what I actually came up with was the give it 5 years method. So essentially what I did is I broke it down into a bunch of really tiny steps just to make it more manageable. Instead of learn how to paint, I made it really specific. It's like learn how to paint eyes, learn how to paint half of a face, then a full face, learn how to paint hair, learn how to draw a portrait, then a half body, then a full body character. So it's like a reasonable step upward every single time. You're only adding a little bit of extra weight to your projects every single time rather than a bunch right at the beginning. That's been a thing that's been super helpful to me. So I knew that I had a bunch of super ambitious ideas that I wanted to get done right at the start. So I actually wrote those down on my phone so I could come back to them later. But in the meantime, I started with the simpler ones just to get some practice in. And then bit by bit, little at a time, they get more and more challenging as they go on, but it never felt overwhelming. I did that. And another thing that really helps with that is just references. I know that there are probably some people that think references are bad. They're crazy. Don't listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about. I find that it's really helpful to not just have references, but to use references, like actually find something that's relevant to what you're doing. If that reference doesn't exist, either take a photo of it yourself or create it from like photo bashing other references. What I've done for a lot of my drawings in particular that I find super helpful is I'll take a bunch of different references and kind of Frankenstein them together. So I'll take the head from one character model that I'm like, okay, this is a really good angle for this. I'll take the pose from somebody else. If the arms are different in this certain kind of pose, then I'll move that around. So I actually photo bash a lot of my references together. I'll take like 5-10 different reference images, Frankenstein them all together into like one super reference image. And that's been a thing that has helped me out just a ton. And even then, I still have a reference of a bunch of other things on the side for things I either don't know how to draw or I'm not like 100% sure about. If you can't find good ones, make good ones. Learn the theories behind the things that you want to learn. So for example, if you want to learn how to shade hair, learn how light works, learn how the actual material of the hair works, learn way more about like actual hair and the physics behind it than just how to draw it in this one particular angle, because you can memorize something and learn it to a degree, but the more that you understand about it, the more that it actually shows. And then the other thing, and this is a huge part of the give it 5 years plan, is reflect and adjust. So take a step back. Don't always be working on stuff. See kind of where you're at. If you have old pieces that you're not 100% happy with, go back and either redraw them or fix them. I find that that's a great way to get practice in without completely restarting on a new piece every single time. It's kind of like having a teacher go back and redline your work, because you'll hate it. They'll draw 2 lines on it and you're like, oh, it's perfect. It's just like what I had in my mind. It's really good if you can do that for yourself, because a huge part of the actual learning process isn't to avoid making mistakes. It's making mistakes and learning how to fix them. So it's incredibly tedious to try to plan a drawing around making no mistakes. But if you learn how to fix them, eventually when you run into them after doing it enough times, you'll be able to fix anything. So I think it's really useful to actually take time, go back to old art. It's not the funnest thing in the world. You got to do your homework here. But you fix it, and you fixing it will show you what you can do for future pieces to maybe avoid that problem. And also when you're reflecting and adjusting, you can kind of see where you're at. Like, is this still a thing you want to do? How am I doing with this process? How stressful is this process? Is it overwhelming? Is this expectation realistic? And kind of just take an inventory with yourself year after year. I set a goal to learn how to paint in 5 years. I am currently at the start of year 3. And I just thought that it would be a fun process to share with you guys. So I'll include a little before and after thing here. But This was 2 years ago, right at the start. This is now my most recent piece. You can see, hopefully there's a little bit of progress in between. It's just sticking with it, giving yourself enough time that you don't get frustrated with it, and you actually take the time to learn as much about it as you can, because you can't draw something that you don't understand, so you really got to give yourself enough time to fully understand it. Like I said, I'm not an expert at making these kinds of videos. They don't really have bullet points. It might have just been me ranting for a little bit, but hopefully something from what I said will help you guys out. Let me know. And if there's any other topics that you want me to discuss, again, let me know, because I want to make more videos like these. But when it comes to coming up with interesting discussion topics, it's kind of like bashing my head into a wall. So if you have any ideas, let me know, and I'll see you later. Bye.